about this. Talk about what? This. You know, this. Let's just put console log this colon this. And let's find out what this is. Maybe this is that. Let's save. Let's refresh. This. Object window. Window. This thing. Window is the global object when you're running JavaScript in the browser. All of the variables, all of the global variables you create, say with var, that aren't inside another function, are actually created as properties on window. So if I say var foo equals bar save window dot foo bar. So you could get to them that way, in addition to just saying foo. But we don't create global variables because we're responsible citizens. Because what if we say import some third-party library and it had a variable called foo? Well, which one's it going to use? That depends on the order we load them in. So don't use global variables, kids. Be safe out there. So fat lot of good it does us setting this to window because we already have window. What about inside another function? How about inside render list item? Render colors may be the simplest. Here's a trick. Console.group. Let's call it render color. Console.end or group end. If you have a bunch of really similar things going on in the console and you want to be able to group them together, you can use group and group end. So that way when I refresh and I call, here's the one from outside, and I call render color blue, this right here, that's the console group. So I know that this version of this object window is the one from inside render color. So it's still window. Very helpful, right? What about inside handle submit? Let's just do this same thing. We'll do it after prevent default. Console group, handle submit. Refresh the page. Let's submit the thing. Inside render color, we know it's window. Inside handle submit, this is an object, HTML form element. It's the form. It's the same thing as the event target. It's the thing on which the event occurred. Now that could actually be useful. So why? Why is it like that? The rules for how this gets assigned don't really have anything to do with how those functions were written. It has to do with how they're called or how they're invoked. So if you call a function just kind of the normal way with parentheses, this is always going to be the global object. If it's invoked from an event firing, this will be bound to the object on which the event fired. So if it was a button click inside that event handler, this will be set to that button. If it's a form, this will be set to that form. Now there's another way of creating functions that we haven't looked at yet, and that's methods. So if we create some object, my obj equal, oh no, how about this? Let's wrap all of this. Nah, let's not. There's not time. Const myObj. And while we can have data properties like name, whatevs, the properties can also just be functions. Like do the thing. Like that. By the way, in ES6, you can shorten this like so. Don't have to for right now. It's probably easier if we just do it this way. And now, do the thing. Now let's see what happens. Let's call myObj dot do the thing parentheses this object. Okay, not terribly helpful. How about instead of that, let's put a breakpoint in here. We didn't get to do this yesterday. To add a breakpoint, just throw the word debugger in there. And what that does is halt execution when it gets to that line. That way we can play around with it in the console and see what all the variables are set to. Refresh. myObj, do the thing. It paused. Let's have a look at things. This is an object. What object? An object with a name of whatevs and a function called do the thing. So this is the same thing as myObj. It's this object right here. So this is where this is actually useful. And that stupid word. When you invoke a function as a method of an object, we call it a method if you get to it using the dot syntax, or the square bracket syntax for that matter. If that's how the function gets invoked, this is equal to that object. So you could call one method from another. Like that. Why not just type myObj? You shouldn't have to use the name that you happen to assign this object to from inside that object. I do. Thanks. That'd be recursive. Do the thing. Thank you. Make sense? So that's how you refer to an object from inside itself. Now there are exceptions. Of course there are. It's JavaScript. And that's where fat arrow functions really become helpful. So we will dig into that tomorrow. For now, what you really need is some gall dang homework. What have I done other than a bunch of console logs? Good, nothing. All right, homework. I know you're excited. You guys did such a killer job on the day one homework that we should reward you by punishing you. No, it's a privilege. Make a new project from scratch. This is going to be a project that adds things to a list that you type into a form. In other words, it's going to do something very similar. But let's give this thing an actual purpose. Maybe it's a shopping list. Maybe it's a roster of students. Maybe it's a list of your favorite dinosaurs, or a list of your favorite Jeff Goldblum movies. Something like that. Make a new project from scratch. Baseline goal. Let's just copy and paste this. And then take out the parts that we don't really want to do. Baseline goal. User can enter a name to be added to the roster or the list. Can enter a thing to be added to the list. For example, dinosaur Jeff Goldblum movie. To be added to the list. The thing will be added to the end of the list. We didn't cover a thing, so the bonus credit is to add the name to the top of the list instead of the bottom. Super mega bonus credit. What? Add a delete button to every list item. This must be day 3. This seems hard. No, it was day 2. Gosh, we really asked a lot of people. Let's make these the other way around. Super mega bonus credit is to add a promote button to every list item that changes the appearance of that item when clicked. Super mega bonus credit hyperfighting, add a delete button to every list item that removes the name from the list when clicked. For example, our Dinoplasty app here. I can add things to the list like, oh, who we got? Who's not on here? Allosaurus. Ooh, he's at the top. That's some serious bonus credit. Let's say this is my promote button. Oh man, he turns gold. He turns ungold. I click delete. He goes off the list. Don't worry about those other buttons just yet. Cool. Or if you just can't wrap your head around that, where's my little thingy here? If you don't want to do that, build your app Jeffervescence. You got your Death Wish, you got your Big Chill, you got the Fly. Maybe that's a favorite. Ha ha ha. Got your Jurassic Park. And you got your Independence Day. Or Independence Day, whatever they called the sequel. I'm better off not knowing. In fact, let's get that off the list. All right. Think you can do it? I know you can. Jules knows you can. And Dave knows Jules can. So everybody's covered. All right. Go in peace.